Well, hi everybody. As you'll notice, I've not released any videos for a while because the weather has just been atrocious and it's still not much better at the moment. There is a bit of a lull. We've still got the winds, but they're not high winds like we've had. There's rain moving in again. The ground here is absolutely sodden. When you walk on it, it sounds like a bog. We've had everything battened down. As you can see, I've got my ladders on my pond just in case, plus some stones to hold it down. We've had Storm Dennis, which has given us a right old bashing. I think the main casualty at the moment was my barbecue cover. It's ripped it to pieces, but there you go, that's not too bad if it's all the damage we've suffered, seeing as the winds that we've had have been atrocious. I've still been pottering about in the shed. If you remember, I had some 9-inch pipe I did show you in one of my previous videos. I'll take you down and show you what I'm trying to do with that. Everything's in the filter house, it's still alright, it's plodding along. No problems in there. So we'll pop down the big shed and see what I've got going on in there. Well guys, here we are in the main shed. And what I'm trying to build is, this was the lump of 9-inch pipe that I had, and this is what they call, or I'm trying to build, what they call a foam fractionator or protein skimmer. This is to take all the proteins and the finer dirt out of the water on the pond. I thought I'd have a go at one, being as it's winter and I've got nothing to do. I did manage to beg that piece of 9-inch pipe. I did want the smooth, but getting hold of this stuff it's quite difficult. But I've managed to, well, I think I've managed to get all the connections into it that I want. I've used, as you can see here, I've used the 2-inch screw slide valves because they're more controllable. They're a finer adjustment. The reason for them actually is because this is the outlet up here. This is the outlet which will be running back to the pond, and being as it is here, I want the water level up here somewhere, so I'm going to have to restrict the outflow to lift the water level to this sort of level up here somewhere. I want the water level to run there because all this above here will be filled with foam, and then over here, as you can see, this is the top that will be going on the top. I've used clear acrylic because I want to see what's going on in there basically, and that will fit on there something like that, and then the skimmit, the dirt and waste should come out this pipe and down into a bucket. Now that is how the actual pipe that removes the skimmit, what comes off here, that's how that will fit and go down and into a bucket at the bottom to catch all the waste and the dirt. So that's how that's going to go on there. This actual pipe itself, like I say, is very difficult to get hold of. You don't really want to be buying it because it is so expensive to buy. What I did was ask 1 or 2 people on building sites. I asked around a bit, and a friend of mine actually found this bit. The housing estate was just about finished and it was thrown to one side, obviously not needed, so I did actually beg it, so it didn't cost me anything. But if you want a piece of pipe like that, I do suggest ask around wherever there's housing estates going up, because they use loads of this stuff. And also have a word with your local drainage board. They keep offcuts that they sell off of this sort of pipe, so you'll probably get a bit from one of them if you want to think of building one of these. But you certainly don't want to be buying it. It is so expensive, it's untrue. And like I say, you're better off if you can get the smooth pipe. This is all I could get at the time, so I've tried to make do. But it seems to be, everything seems to be okay. It's just whether we have actually made it waterproof. I shall have to try that. But we've had so much rain just lately, oh, it's incredible. The abandoned field next door that is a housing estate, this didn't come from there, by the way, I look over the fence and I see some bits of this that would do the job lovely, but I haven't seen anybody there to ask, so I've not been able to have a word with anybody from there. But they've abandoned that. It's absolute. They abandoned it 2 or 3 months ago, and they've never been back since. I've never seen them since, and it is actually flooded. Basically what that'll mean is that in the summer, when it does dry out, we're going to have all the noise of houses being built next door in the field, whereas we could have had it at this time of year if the field hadn't have been flooded, and it'd have been half built by the time summer got here. So it looks like we're going to get all the noise through the next couple of summers, I would imagine, but that's just one of them things. So basically what it is, the water will go in there. The water, I've got the pump here, I'm just working on that at the moment, all the pump fittings. That will fit to that pipe down the bottom. It's not only going to be pumping water into that, we're going to be banging air in there as well, so there's going to be a big turbulent rush of air in there constantly, which is obviously going to cause the foam on the top of the water. The foam, while it's in there, is going to pick up all the debris and finings and all that sort of thing. Out of the water, it gets stuck to the air bubbles, and then it will slowly fill with foam and then come out the top here. So it'll be protein and dirt, hopefully, that it's going to be pushing out the top, and the main water flow will return. This pipe actually goes right down to the bottom of this chamber, so it's taking water from the bottom, so it's not taking any air or bubbles out at all. It's just going to be taking water out. So the water has to actually flow in here. It's going to flow up because of the air. It's going to rise, and then to exit this chamber it's got to travel back down again to get into the out pipe to come up and out of this here. Now the main thing when building these things is to keep the water in there as long as possible. So the water that's coming in is going to rise with the air, the same as it does in your pond. It drags the water up, and then it's got to get back down the outside. It's got to get back down to the bottom to get into the outlet pipe that comes up and out here. That's the general idea of it. This piece here obviously is just going to tell me where the water level actually is, because this is going to be full of foam, so I'm not going to see too much down. We can have a look down there inside the pipe if I can show you, if it'll focus. That's looking at it from inside the actual chamber, the water chamber. Hopefully that's how it's all going to work. I've got it attached to some 10mm PVC at the bottom. I've welded that to it, so that's all welded up. This tap here, the ball valve itself, that's just going to be for flushing it out in case there's any dirt. There is actually inside there a 90 that goes to about 1 inch from the bottom, so if I open that up it's going to suck any dirt off the bottom, hopefully, if any does manage to settle down there. If I want to drain it off at all, I can use that to drain this down and carry out any maintenance. What I'm up to the stage of now is dropping a bit of water in it. I want to fill it up and see if we've got any leaks. Fixing to this stuff is not easy. All these ribs are a bit of a pain, and I don't know whether you'll see it, but if you look beyond the ribs it's still not flat. Under there's still little ribs on there. So it wasn't easy fixing to this. What I had to do was, like, if we turn this round, I'll just move that off the top. If we turn it round like so, where I had to put the bulkhead in, you can probably see it's slightly discoloured. I had to heat all this up because it's 9-inch pipe. It's obviously got quite a tight curve on it, and to get a 2-inch bulkhead into there, or tank connector, I heated it up so that it was just pliable, and then put the tank connector on it and tightened it up so it actually bent this so that it was flat instead of curved. It flattened it out somewhat, so hopefully on the inside where the seal is on this tank connector, it's flat and made a seal. So hopefully that's going to work. But like I say, I'm at the point at the moment of being able to give it a water test, and we'll see if we've got any leaks anywhere. But that's the stage I'm at with that. I also, to fit this, because you know the space is quite tight in my filter house, I've also got to make some room for it. So what I'm going to do as well is make a new Backy River. So under there, I don't know whether you can see it in that cardboard box, under there I've got some more polypropylene, so I'm going to build myself a new river. That river, I think, is absolutely brilliant stuff. I wouldn't run my pond without one now. I've had no algae problems whatsoever since I've fitted that, so that has worked out really well. I've had no nitrate problems. With a moving bed, as you know, it deals with your ammonia and nitrites, but it does leave the nitrates. And the Backy River, I've found, is absolutely brilliant for dealing with the nitrates. Adam put one on his pond, Adam Julian, he runs them on his ponds all the time, and I have to say it was Adam that gave me the idea of doing a Backy River, and excellent, absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to knock myself up a new Backy River that doesn't take up quite so much room. I do keep 1 or 2 bits of pipe in the roof up there. As you can see, there's some 40mm and there's some 2" there, there's some inch. I do keep them because they're always handy. You're always wanting bits of pipe, so I always keep a few bits, which I shall be using anyway now, so they will come in handy. They do come in handy just to have there if you want to do anything like this. What I'm also going to do, I've got here acrylic pipe, some see-through pipe, so on the inlet down the bottom here I shall be fitting this to the inlet. That will fit onto there, and I shall be fitting that so I can actually see what sort of airflow we've got going in there. So that'll give me some idea of how things are running down the bottom and the feed. So I shall be fitting that to that. So we'll go up the filter house and I'll show you my intentions up there. Okay guys, oh, this wind's terrible. We'll nip and have a look in the field house and see what's going on in there. Just bear with me a second. I'll get some light on. Okay. Oh, that wind. It's blooming cold as well. Here we are in the field house. Now this is the Backy River. Take no notice of my printer on top, I've just put that there for now. It's packed up, so I've had to buy a new printer. But as you know, the Backy River is the 3 tubs, 1, 2, 3, that actually runs from the RDF, so it's getting a clean water feed. What I want to do is put that new fractionator in this corner, that foam fractionator. I want it to go in that corner there, out the way. What I want to do is try to save some room. As you can see, there's quite a gap between these boxes. So what I'm going to do is build just one constant Backy River, so this can all come this way. It'll pull it back up to here somewhere, so it'll give me all that space for that protein skimmer to go in that corner there. That's where I want it. That's my intentions. Otherwise it's going to stand in the middle there and be in the way. So if I can get it over that side, in that corner, that shelf will have to be taken down because it'll come up here somewhere. But it's going to be better if I can get it in the corner there, out the way, and then the pipe will run along the back of that wall out the way, the same as all the others do. That's my intentions. Whether it'll work or not, I don't know. I haven't brought it up here and tried it yet, but I will do. We'll give it a try and see what happens. I've got 50 litres in there of the old Siperax, which is brilliant stuff I think, and that's the sort of space I'll need. It'll be about 1200 centimetres long. The same space in the river should take up less room because we won't have the gaps between the boxes. Everything else in here is running fine. The RDF is performing well. It's going really well at the moment. If you can see down there, it's going really well. No problems with that at all. In fact, I haven't touched it for 3 or 4 weeks. It's just been running away and I've left it. Down there is the That's the new UV clarifier. That's working well. Seems to be keeping the drum really clean. I'm well impressed with that, a lot better than I thought it was going to, as it doesn't really cover all the drum, but it seems to be keeping the drum nice and clean all the way across. It's excellent. And then we've got the moving bed. It just ticks away. I've got the small pump on it at the moment, but it runs away, and well aerated air going back to the pond, so that's also a plus. In the winter you don't have to have too many air stones in your pond. Keep plenty of air in the water, so that's going well. The heater's just cut in actually because I've had the door open, I suppose, but it just, like I say, keeps this at about 10 or 11 degrees. Let's just have a quick look and we'll see the pond temperature as well. There we go, we've got 7.7 in the pond, just below feeding temperature, so it's around feeding temperature. I might just give them a handful, any lower and I won't, but in here we've got 11.4. It keeps it between 10 and 12 degrees in here, which isn't too bad at all. Stops any condensation, like I say. But that's the filled house. Nothing too much happening in here at the moment until I get started on that Backy River, then the work will start. The heater itself very rarely cuts in because, like as you know, I've got it all insulated in here, so it is quite warm in here actually, or it feels it. If you go outside and come in here it feels warm. It's pretty windy and cold outside. But that's it in the filled house. Nothing much to report in here at the moment. What I'm also trying to do as well when it's not raining is get all this, there was a raised flower bed in here. I'm sorry if the wind's being a pain, but there was a raised flower bed in here. I want to get all that dug out, get all the soil shifted, and I'm going to have just a small shed up the other end there. All this will be slabbed, all this area. I'm going to slab all this area, and I want another little shed in there up that end for all my garden tools. They're a bit of a pain at the moment, and as you've probably seen, I've got most of them stood outside down the bottom there up against the shed, so that's why I need another shed really. It's because I've pinched this one for my filter house. But the temperature outside's not too bad, it's just the wind that's the problem at the moment. We've got 8 degrees showing on the thermometer. It's not too cold, it's just the wind makes it feel cold. It feels like it's freezing, but it's not. I've got to get all this tidied up as well, so I'm trying to do that as well as all this other stuff. So I've got plenty to do even in the winter. I did have to let the sieve filter fill up with water for a few days. The ground was absolutely sodden, so not to take any chances with the water sock level pushing that out of the ground, I did fill it up and run it flooded for a few days, but it's back to running properly now. I'm probably shaking a little bit because I'm cold. I'm going to go inside in the warm for now and get warmed up again. Anyway guys, before this wind gets any worse, which it's supposed to, I'm going to call that it, and wish you all the best. You all take care, and as always, happy ponding.